was a crazy old man with a big mustache. He told Coraline that he was training a mouse circus. He wouldn't let anyone see it. One day, little Coraline, when they're all ready, everyone in the whole world will see the wonders of my mouse circus. You ask me why you cannot see it now. Is that what you asked me? No, Coraline said quietly. I asked you not to call me Caroline. It's Coraline. The reason you cannot see the mouse circus, said the man upstairs, that the mice are not ready yet and rehearsed. Also, they refuse to play the songs I've written for them. All the songs I have written, for them. All the songs I've written for the mice to play go oompa oompa, but the white mice will only play doodle-oodle like that. I'm thinking of trying them on different types of cheese. Coraline didn't think there was really a mouse circus. She thought the old man was probably making it up. The day after they moved in, Coraline went exploring. She explored the garden. At the very back was an old tennis court, but no one in the house had played tennis, and the fence around the court had holes in it, and the net had mostly rotted away. There was an old rose garden filled with stunted, fly-blown rose bushes. There was a rockery that was all rocks. There was a fairy ring made of squidgy brown toadstools, which smelled dreadful if you actually trod on them. There was also a well. On the first day Coraline's family moved in, Miss Fink and Miss Forcible made a point of telling Coraline how dangerous the well was, and they warned her to be sure she kept away from it. So Coraline set off to explore for it so that she knew where it was, to keep away from it properly. She found it on the third day in an overgrown meadow beside the tennis court, behind a clump of trees, a low brick circle almost hidden in the high grass. The well had been covered by wooden boards to stop anyone falling in. There was a small knothole in one of the boards, and Coraline spent an afternoon dropping pebbles and acorns through the hole and waiting and counting until she heard the plop as they hit the water far below. Coraline also explored for animals. She found a hedgehog and a snake skin, but no snake, and a rock that looked just like a frog, and a toad that looked just like a rock. There was also a haughty black cat who sat on walls and tree stumps and watched her, but slipped away if ever she went over to try to play with it. That was how she spent her first 2 weeks in the house, exploring the garden and the grounds. Her mother made her come back inside for dinner and for lunch. Coraline had to make sure she dressed up warm before she went out, for it was a very cold summer that year. But go as she did, exploring every day until the day it rained, when Coraline had to stay inside. What should I do? Asked Coraline. Read a book, said her mother. Watch a video, play with your toys, go and pester Miss Fink or Miss Forcible or the crazy old man upstairs. No, said Coraline. I don't want to do those things. I want to explore. I don't really mind what you do, said Coraline's mother, as long as you don't make a mess. Coraline went over to the window and watched the rain come down. It wasn't the kind of rain you could go out in. It was the other kind, the kind that threw itself down from the sky and splashed where it landed. It was rain that meant business, and currently its business was turning the garden into a muddy wet soup. Coraline had watched all the videos. She was bored with her toys, and she'd read all her books. She turned on the television. She went from channel to channel to channel, but there was nothing on but men in suits talking about the stock market and talk shows. Eventually, she found something to watch. It was the last half of a natural history program about something called protective coloration. She watched animals, birds, and insects which disguised themselves as leaves or twigs or other animals to escape from things that could hurt them. She enjoyed